Well, welcome to Partners in Ministry. I'm your host, Dan Smith, and today I'm going to do a special segment, Get to Know You with Carla Tripp. Carla is the chapter director for Safe Families for Children in Iowa. Welcome, Carla. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
To get things started, why don't you tell us a little bit about your ministry, who you're serving, and how you serve them?
Yeah, well, Safe Family, in short, Safe Families exist to keep children safe and families together. We address, we encourage radical hospitality in the communities that we are in. We address challenges of social isolation, particularly, for those limited to resources and family connections or healthy relationships. So, all of those things lead to parental stress and ultimately can lead to foster care and removal of a child or family separation. So our ministry has a community of volunteers ready to step in and help a family before the need becomes too great and a child ends up in the child welfare system rather unnecessarily.
Sure, yeah. Well, that's a lot of responsibility, and I know you can't be doing it all. So what is your specific role, and what about that brings you the most sense of fulfillment?
Oh, yeah. So my role, the last 6 years, I have been in the role of chapter director, serving the greater Des Moines area and eastern Iowa, which is like the Iowa City, Cedar Rapids area, and then also a little bit in northern Iowa, Black Hawk County. So we do branch out, but because our ministry is very focused on volunteer-driven work, we're able to work with quite a bit of individuals with our oversight, helping and training them and preparing families for the work that they do. So, it's a lot of work, or a lot of people, it feels like sometimes more, but what's so interesting is when you have these amazing groups of volunteers that step in from small groups at church or community groups, everybody just does life together and helps out and circles around a family and provides that wraparound support they need.
Be very rewarding to see.
Yes.
So why don't you share a story a little bit about how you've seen God at work through your ministry?
Yeah, so I feel like some of the defining moments when we see God shining through is usually in the 13th hour. I feel like those moments are when we have a really big need to fill, kind of a big ask, as we might coin it, and a short time to make that happen. Usually at that point, the parent is discouraged. We're feeling a little discouraged. And just when we're feeling rather hopeless, something amazing happens, whether that's like a volunteer that steps in with their availability has changed. Now they can help, or if it's more of a financial focus, a volunteer or a donor may come up with some funding to help fill a need, fill that gap. Or sometimes just the parent has actually found a solution on their own, which ultimately results in keeping her family together. So it's when these moments happen, it's really in that moment when, we can kind of breathe for a moment and we realize that, that was that hour that God stepped in and we all rejoiced with that. So that's not really just one particular story, but that happens quite often in our ministry work for sure.
Sure. Yeah. We are all so prone to waiting almost too long before we reach out and get help. And it makes it even harder than if we were to start earlier. So, yeah, it's pretty much human nature.
Yeah.
So what's something that people might be really surprised to learn about that you do outside of ministry?
Well, I think of myself as a little boring, actually. I'm the director, the chapter director here for Safe Families. I also volunteer. So I have some connections with families that my family has supported along the way as well. but something that is really unique that I have found in my mature years is that my primary friend group dates back to well, my one of my very best friends is someone that we were kind of raised from the church nursery on. So that dates us a little bit, but that's over 50 years. So, but my primary friend group that I still gather with regularly and connect with are people from elementary, preschool, elementary, junior high, and on. And it sounds that that's kind of a rarity these days, where you stay connected with your people. And basically, really what that is for me, having those friendships that I value so much, it really solidifies for me the importance of healthy relationships that we need in our lives to get us through the hard moments that life can bring. And what I see is a lot of the parents that we're serving, they don't have that. They don't necessarily have just a good friend or someone that they can rely on. And, so it's something I don't take for granted. So I wouldn't say that's a particularly exciting moment about me, but it's a tidbit that I feel is valuable to pass along, to value those relationships.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anybody that I've gone to school with, even in high school, that I'm still associated with, because we traveled around the country so much. That's pretty cool to still have friendships that date all the way back to your first years of school. That's very unusual. So what's been or who has been a meaningful influence in your life personally, and how did they impact you?
Yeah, that's an easy one for me. It's my mother. She was highly influential in my life. Unfortunately, I lost her far too soon. She passed rather unexpectedly when I was in my early 20s. But the love and acceptance she showed, not only myself and my siblings, but to really anyone, anyone out there, is that she really planted that seed for me of, to be comfortable stepping into the uncomfortable. Which really, when I reflect back sometimes and think about it, it's very much what volunteering and working for Safe Families is stepping into that uncomfortable space sometimes. And I like to think that she planted that seed for a reason. And the reason is that, that's what led me ultimately to work in this unique ministry that really helps so many children and families, in our communities as well as nationally and internationally for this ministry, that work that we do. So I always kind of think back to how I was raised and, those little seeds that we plant along the way. So that she was definitely the most influential in my life.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So what's a simple joy or a little thing that always brightens up your day?
Well, the parents that we serve and support, sometimes they're, what we say, like they'll come and go. We see them a couple times, we help them, and we may not hear back from them. Some of them are the opposite of that. We hear from them all the time. They give us updates. But the simple little things that they do when they send me a text or a picture, a selfie of them and their kids at the park, or just an update on life, could be of that, something from 5 years ago. And they'll send a text of their kids, and I'm thinking, who are these, these children? And it's just like, wow, I love that they think of me to share a joy or a celebration, or, just an update on their kids' spring picture from school. The fact that they think of us, here at Safe Families, because we were helpful to them. I think it means more sometimes than we realize. So those days always just it really brightens my day to see that effect, for sure.
That is so cool when people do that, because it affirms that it's not just a job, it's not just a ministry. You're actually a part of their family and they're a part of yours, and that's so cool.
Yeah.
What first drew you to the mission of the Quakerdale Foundation?
So for nearly 20 years or so, I had worked in the international adoption field, and had some great opportunities to travel to places in West Africa or in Africa in general. I visited Uganda and Ghana and spent time in villages. And I had the opportunity during those visits to really observe and witness various levels of poverty and survival. And what sticks with me most is really witnessing family and the family dynamic that they have in those villages, meaning, what it takes to make it work. And these eye-opening experiences really showed me the true meaning of that it takes a village. And so when I was first introduced to Quakerdale, it was through Safe Families for Children here with my ministry work. And, our mission and vision at Safe Families really resonated with me because it's keeping children safe and families together. And further, the introduction to Quakerdale, it really just fit like a puzzle with our ministry here. And the huge impacts that we have in our own lives of, for myself personally, losing my mother at such a young age, and really my world being turned upside down, and not having the same kind of family dynamic that I had before, really brought to light that the need in our community for single moms or young moms, families, to make sure that everybody has somebody in their back pocket, someone that they can rely on, someone they can trust. And so kind of bringing that full circle with Safe Families and the support that we get through the Quakerdale Foundation, it really gives us the opportunity to be there for these young women who don't have anybody else to rely on. So it has been a pretty powerful connection, just seeing ministry working together and fulfilling the needs in our community.
Yeah. In the next 5 years, as you kind of look at the future, what's your hope in terms of how the Quakerdale Foundation and Safe Families will work together in the future?
Well, within 5 years, I always say I have the dream of seeing the movement expand throughout the entire state. We know that there are areas of the state that are a little more remote and don't have as much access or readily available access to the same resources that every family needs. And I would like to see that partnership grow and continue so that we can make that happen. And, with Quakerdale advocating for us, supporting us, praying for our ministry work, we can really achieve those goals that we have in place.
Well, as a support network here at the foundation, how can we pray for you this week?
I think my biggest or most ongoing prayers are that we can meet the needs of the children and families that need our support. Those daily calls that we get, or the referrals that we get for help. It's making sure that we are available to those families, and we have we have the resources to make that happen. We're always actively working to recruit or reach new churches and volunteers, and can use prayer for more volunteer families so that they can learn about us, and we can share what we do and be able to meet those needs in our community. So that's my biggest prayer, is just for more volunteers, people to step in and learn about Safe Families so we can meet those needs.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's just really been great to get to know you a little bit better.
Thanks.
If you've got any questions, or if you'd like to learn more about Safe Families, you can see their contact information here on the screen. You can also find it in the show notes for this episode on our website, or right here in the description of this YouTube video. If you got some time, consider sending Carla an email of encouragement. Let her know that you're praying for her and thinking about her. So on behalf of Safe Families for Children, Carla Tripp, and Partners in Ministry, I want to thank you for joining us today. And until next time, let's get out there and serve as Christ serves.